I'm Maya, and also here for Mozi bread stuff, and as a resident both. And yeah, I mean, it is on our bread, so that's the first one that came to mind. I really like the tofu banh mi, speaking of, at Artifact Coffee. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Alex. Mine is also probably a banh mi, because there's a banh mi in the city I live in, North Carolina, that was $8 for a banh mi and a bowl of pho. And when I was in college, I could have that for 2 meals and feel very fancy. So I'm feel nostalgia for that.
My name is Dina, and I love a BLT. I don't have anyone in particular, but I just love BLTs.
I'm Yvonne, and I do like bone meat, but I really don't like sandwiches, and that's probably the only one that I believe.
Did we miss anybody not say their favorite sandwich?
Oh, yeah, people getting pizza. Or,
Yeah,
go.
Terrence Brown, DPW Community Liaison. Decided to stay for your intros, but I actually have an outro also because I'm actually on the agenda at another community. But I brought you some goodies and some bags and things like that since I had some. My favorite sandwich, I don't even want to mention now after what this gentleman here said, so I'm just going to Google whatever he said, and that'll be my new favorite sandwich.
Got a new person in the back?
Well, I'm David Fed from Charles Hills Community Benefit District. I don't really have a favorite sandwich, but I have a favorite food. I have a salmon. That's for sure.
Casey.
I'm Casey Corbett. I'm an artist with a studio in Clipper Mill, not super local, but my favorite sandwich is a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. And I like to do, I almost said BLT for real, because I like to do bacon with brown sugar and crushed red pepper flakes. Like a little sticky sweet. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Quantez Smith. I'm Vice President of Woods Falls Community Association over Southwest Baltimore. Just here to represent. My favorite sandwich is actually the one my girlfriend made for me. I can't remember exactly what she put on there, but it was amazing. I still remember. I took a picture of it.
Anybody else? Everybody?
Now that we've all been thinking about food, there is pizza.
Yeah, there is pizza. So yeah, big first announcement, there is pizza. So if you'd like some pizza, please, now would be a great time to go get it. Help yourself. Also, during these meetings, we have roles. There aren't very many, and most of them have already been filled, but we do need a note taker for today. Isaac is taking notes.
We'll need one for next time though, and volunteers for facilitator or reader.
Oh, fantastic. So, is anyone here willing to be a facilitator for next week, or next month?
What was it entail?
Doing exactly what I'm doing. Talking to Mike beforehand, or somebody who already, making sure you have the agenda, and then I don't know what happens after this moment. This is brand new.
Yeah, the primary role of the facilitator is just sort of make sure everybody's on the same page and equalize participation. And so part of our objective is, where are we in the agenda, keeping people to task. But ideally also we can all kind of co-facilitate. So if one notices oneself talking too much or hasn't participated much yet, there's sort of a collaboration with the whole group on making sure the meeting is as helpful for everybody as possible. And it's also an iterative process, so over time we'll get better and better at it. I'm I think a fairly bad facilitator, and it's gone fine when I'm doing it. So if we all switch up, we can all learn the skills together.
We try an easier one. Anybody interested in being a greeter?
Well, I mean, so the next meeting would be November 6th, which is the potluck with IC with Able Improvement Association. So is that facilitating both? Or we have the meeting and then the potluck?
What's the location for that? Do we have one?
It should be here.
Is the meeting joint as well?
So that'll be on.
Half and half is my understanding, like we're
Okay.
gonna,
We've always got it here because we have the biggest location. So we can use it upstairs.
so there will still be a meeting with this format, but then also a potluck.
Yeah, it'll be like a truncated meeting, so a couple of different things might need updates or people being clued in about something. So it'll be like a short neighborhood meeting followed by most of it being a potluck social.
I was gonna volunteer, but I'll be out of town.
Oh.
So it helped to clarify that that's what we were talking about, so.
I'll be a greeter.
Greeter, fantastic,
I can do facilitator.
awesome. And anybody interested in doing notes?
Not my forte.
Doing notes.
I can do notes.
All right. Cool, okay, I think we did it. All right, we're cruising down this list. This is amazing. It's moving. Okay, cool. So next up on our list is call for dues and donations. This is an organization that runs on dues and donations. If you can donate on the website, if you would like to pay your dues, if you haven't paid dues, we encourage you to do that. If you aren't able to pay dues, then you can still be a participating and voting member in this, in the community association. I guess we just ask that you reach out to Mike.
So according to the bylaws, a member of the group is somebody that's a friend of the project, a friend of the Harwood community that wants it to succeed. A voting member is somebody that is a participant in the project and then also lives in the neighborhood and also pays yearly dues. And then there's an exception for if you write a letter to the president, you can get dues waived. And so I think financial shouldn't be a limiting factor, and so I think folks that want to participate should be able to do so fully. So basically, the donation, the dues are so that we can exist. Like it allows us to buy pizza, it allows us to print out flyers, and
With space?
Space rental.
Space.
space.
Yeah.
It allows us to pay for space. There's a lot of different logistics, and so it's a way for you to contribute to the project. And so we really ask you to pitch in.
And dues are $10.
Yeah,
Dues are $10.
for the
Per
year,
family per year.
Per household.
$10, Bob.
per household.
Per household.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, there's that.
Well, wait, before, just to put it out there, how do we pay dues? Do we pay on the website? Do we give you cash? Do you have a Venmo? Do you have a PayPal? What's going on here?
There is, if you go to the website, there's a way to pay your dues there. You
Okay.
can pay your dues directly to, say, Mike. We have a treasurer that Mike can hand it over to. But traditionally, we don't have a Venmo set up, we don't have a PayPal set up right now. It's just the website or directly to a board member.
It is on the homepage. You don't have to like
Yeah.
search for it. It's
It's
like
easy to
kind of
find.
right in the top. So
Great.
you do, and that is the easiest way to facilitate that if you have internet access.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else for dues and donations? All right. Cool. Well, upcoming events then. Dumpster Day is this Saturday. Can anyone speak on Dumpster Days today?
Do we need volunteers for that?
We do.
Yes.
We always need volunteers.
Alright.
This will be at 27th and,
Is it Matthews or 23rd?
Boone.
Boone,
Yeah.
27th and Boone.
Will it actually be there this time?
It will. So what
I was
happened
volunteering last time.
previously, what happened previously is we had scheduled it for Barclay, but for a very specific reasons that I'm blanking on. We had asked them to actually relocate it to 27th and Boone, and they did not. They dropped it at the original location, which caused some confusion, but that means that the 27th and Boone location did not get the opportunity to have a dumpster near them. And so we would like to make sure, that's Harwood East. It's on the other side of Greenmount, and we don't want that part of the community to feel neglected just because they are on the other side of Greenmount. And every time we've put a dumpster there in the past, it has filled up very quickly, so there's clearly a need for it. So Yes, and we will, what we will do is we will call on Friday to make sure of the location, which is something that we did not do last time around. We assumed it was under control, and we will not make that mistake again.
Good deal.
So I have a question about, I guess, the dumpsters themselves. This happens quarterly, right?
Yes.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, so like at least 4 times a
It
year.
happens 4 times a year.
So is it alternating between Boone and Barclay for the drop-off points?
We were moving it around between the different quarters of the neighborhood.
Okay. Because all, like, from what I remember, it's mostly on Barclay.
Yeah.
And then last time was supposed to be on Boone.
The
But this time
default
it's
is
also supposed to be
Barclay.
on. Yeah.
Barclay is the default. The thing is Charles Village Benefits District also does dumpster scheduling, and that is their default location as well. And that's why we've tried not to use that location
Okay.
too heavily, because they are also using that location.
Yeah, we also wanted to move it around to like get the other neighbors, like especially since we have, you know, elders in the community who can't necessarily get as easily access to it, so.
Okay.
And again, I'm with DPW, I'm your community liaison, so if you have any concerns with that or problems, then reach out to me. I have my cards here also, so just let me know and I'll be able to assist you.
Thank you.
So once it's full, that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Or you mean, do they go dump it and bring it back?
Yeah.
Or no, they just fill it and,
But
so-
this
It's
is,
big.
Fill it and spill it.
but this is one of the roles of the folks who are volunteering, is they make sure that we don't have contractors coming by to drop off stuff. They can't come and you can't have somebody who's, renovating a house come and just fill up the dumpster on their own. So, and we make that clear on the flyers, but we do have volunteers there who can say, look, you can't just show up here with 5 trucks and drop everything off. That is,
So what I will, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. What I will say, the last time when we had the kind of location mix-up, apparently there were people that were dumping at the Boone Street location, and so we did have trucks coming and bringing all of the stuff that has been dumped. We were able, it was me and one of my friends that was kind of trying to keep people from doing the metal and the no bricks and all the other stuff, right? But we were able to get 2 other people. What I will say is it is more than a 2-person operation, mostly because people will come up to you and be like, hey, I have things, I can't move them. Can you come and help me move this, right? And for some people, that's great. I am not very physically robust, so my friend kind of helped with that, but it does get to a point where one person's gone, you're here, there was a lot going on, so we do need at least more volunteers, at least willing to kind of show up and see what needs helping. I think, yeah.
Well, and every time Roy and Rob always show up with a big lifter,
Yes, yeah.
so there will be somebody, the last couple times, I don't know if this happened last time, also, sorry, I'm Savannah, I'm normally our point person, but I was just away from the last month, so, I'm gonna be working on that tomorrow to try and, I'll be emailing out a Google Doc that has an Excel spreadsheet for people to sign up. Hopefully we'll send that out in a MailChimp to everybody. And then people can volunteer, we'll have scheduled timing, we had some tabling I don't know if this happened last time, but, and we'll get people with cars and stuff.
So, just to help y'all bring insight on this, my community just had ours Saturday. So, for all of you who don't have experience with it, it's a huge dumpster, it opens up, so, then it's gonna be completely empty, so you're able to actually carry things into it. So in terms of volunteers and everything, to your point, it will meet more than two people, because you're gonna need some people watching it, making sure tires and other things that don't belong in there get dumped. But make sure as y'all fill it closest to the back and work your way forward so that they can shut it when DPW comes back to take it.
Mike, final comment on this?
Oh, just, is there any other things, Savannah, come to mind that you need help with? What would you say?
Well, I will be away, so, if anybody else wants to be the in-person point person. There's an older gentleman who lives near the main location that they normally do it on, George Lacey. If anybody's in touch with George now, he's normally very good at, he's normally our person who watches, like, to make sure people are not dumping stuff they're not supposed to be. But, so if anybody is interested to do that, you can just come talk to me at the end of the meeting. But if not, we'll figure that out by the end. Other than that, if people wanna bring some snacks, it's always good. Have we set a time for that? I know it's normally 9 to 1 technically, but obviously the dumpster can get there anywhere between 7 and.
I think when we call on Friday, especially at that location, we have to specifically request that they drop, and I don't know if you can give any more information about this. We were told that we had to
You have to give it house
specifically
address,
request it be 8 or 9 because of that location. They'll automatically drop off at 6 a.m. if we don't request a later time.
Because it's close to the Sisson Street location, so that's usually one of the first drop-offs they do, unless you request otherwise. And we'll make sure whoever is involved in this, we'll make sure that, you know, we have our shared knowledge that gets brought into play. And what they provide is it is 4 hours. So it's 4 hours from whenever they drop it off, which is the other reason why we don't want to drop it off too early, is because they'll pick it up and people are like, where's the dumpster? And it fills up quickly though. But yeah, and don't feel that if you want to volunteer, you have to be here for the full 4 hours. If you can only make it for 2 hours and help out, that's still helpful, you know. Any amount of volunteering is appreciated.
So if you're available, talk to Savannah. All right.
And just really quick, if I could,
Sure.
I said I had to run, but I'll look into that, and I'll let you know more specifically about the time. And one other thing, there was some concern about if it fills, and if I think there were some other locations where there was some dumping. If that occurs, just give me the locations. Just reach out to me. Let me know the locations, and we'll make sure we get somebody out to get that stuff up.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Okay, all right. So we have 6 more agenda items to get to before we get to our guest speakers. So really, we have like maybe 2 to 4 minutes on each of these if we're going to stay on schedule. I'm not saying we have to limit anything. I just want us to all have the same kind of awareness. So next up is the 29th Street Community Center fundraiser. John, do you have something to?
Yes, I bought flyers. It's a lot of fun. It's our 2nd annual. We have been formally a nonprofit now for 3 years, independent nonprofit. And so this fundraiser is extremely important for our administrative funding. We get lots of grants, but most grants are for programming. And so fundraisers are our way of hiring students and things like that to help out with the programming in the center. The purchasing information is on the flyer. There's also a code you can choose with your phone if you want to do it that way. But thank you. It's October 28th. We were going to have them at the meeting last month and there was a glitch. But it's from 6 to 9 p.m. and it's at the brewery. So it's a lot of fun and food is tremendously good. And so in fact, people were taking plates away at the end of the fundraiser. So we look forward to you guys coming. Support the center. It's extremely important for the children that we serve. And we want it to become the best center in Baltimore. So we're working on that.
Is it Peabody?
Peabody Heights, yeah, that's where it's, like I said, 6 to 9 on October 28th.
Only place I know in the neighborhood with free Miss Pac-Man, so. Cool, thank you. Any other questions, comments about the fundraiser?
Is it casual? Is it fancy?
It's,
Is it
casual, it's not funky casual.
Okay.
Why not?
But,
no pajamas?
no pajamas and
Okay.
no booty shorts. You know, it's an adult affair for the most part. But we prefer people come in dressing, you know, with long pants, no shorts. we're gonna get that on the, we had a conversation about that, we didn't put it out, this time, but we're gonna have it on the website. But
Okay.
basically, not business casual, but just casual. And you can buy beer with your ticket. It's all on the website. You can either become a non-beer buying person ahead of time, you'll get your ticket when you get there, because we'll have that on our entry online. So when you come in, if you buy two tickets, that's included in one price. And then there's a price for non-beer drinkers.
Thank you so much. All right, next up is Harwood AIA Joint Potluck, November 6th. We've alluded to this a little bit already. Does anybody have more information to report on that?
So historically, so pre-pandemic, the Able Community Association and the Harwood Community Association had joint potlucks, often here at the center, and for their November meetings. And they asked if we wanted to do it again this year. It seems fun. So the concept is bring food to share and or just bring a hungry tummy and come meet our neighbors to the north.
Now, is that going to be it's first potluck then meeting, or meeting then potluck, or?
Usually it's
Great
people
question.
get a plate and they sit down and we have the meeting.
Okay.
Unless Able comes with different ideas, they have in the past come with a different kind of agenda, but the food is out. So, we've never had a problem with someone getting a plate and sitting down and enjoying it well, because there will be tables, unlike this, we will have a lot of tables and chairs, so people will have a place to sit down.
Are there any allergens that we need to label our food for? I'm thinking eggs, peanuts.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah.
Probably the usual.
That's a good
Oh,
Last
question.
time, we've had people that brought vegan dishes,
Yeah.
and they made a little card saying it's a vegan dish, and what it did and did not have. I'm not sure if everybody's gonna handle that, but I'm sure, it's a question that you can ask. But generally, people have been very conscious and cognizant of people's inabilities to eat certain things. By letting people know, by putting a sign on it, that this contains such and such and so.
Yeah. Do we want to potentially facilitate that by putting little allergen cards out or something that people can easily grab, or are we just gonna let this kind of see how it
It
flies?
generally just flows. If
Okay.
you choose to bring something
Yeah.
and it is vegan,
Yeah.
then we would say you have a vegan notice. This is,
Right.
because we had vegan, what do you call it? Cupcakes
Yeah.
and things there. So all of those things were labeled so that people would know in case someone doesn't like vegan food.
Mhm.
It seems easy just to have Post-it notes or something.
Yeah.
Provided,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, I mean, that's
And that way
basically
it's
what people did.
Yeah.
People did their own notifications, so you would know.
But I'm just saying, for us to get Post-it notes or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, someone
Super
can,
Sharpies.
someone can just bring Post-it notes.
Yeah.
and People can
Let's bring Post-it notes. It seems like a good habit to get into.
Let the record show we'll bring Post-it notes.
For the people who are well-intentioned but did not realize that there was an allergy to something. Like me,
Love
multiple
it.
potlucks, didn't realize eggs were an allergen. Yeah, they are. They are.
Anything else for November 6th? All right, well then, moving on to expungement clinics. Expungement clinics.
I can say a quick word about this. This is something that Maryland Legal Aid does. They do it at Loyola. This year it's gonna be, I think they've done several already this year. This one is the 29th of October. So it's not right away, but soon. If you know attorneys, they also always look for attorneys who can do volunteer work. But the really critical thing is, expungement opens up a world of opportunities for anybody with a criminal record. In this day and age, with legalization of marijuana, people have criminal charges for things that are now legal, which is itself, ridiculous, but that's a great way to help. But other reasons, it opens a lot of doors, and then, everybody does it. So, just keep an eye out if you know of people who are looking for expungement, who would benefit from that. That would be, great if they had access to and awareness of this. I will make sure I put a link on the minutes to the meeting when those go out, so there will be a link directly to the Maryland Legal Aid page describing this, but we always just want to make sure that this is a resource that people know about, because it is a tremendous benefit, both to the individuals and to our community.
So just attorneys needed, no paralegals, no surrounding staff?
It just says they're looking for volunteer attorneys,
Okay.
but, you know, you could probably reach out and see if there are other
Needs?
types of assistance that would also be beneficial.
Okay.
I-
the attorneys at the library be able to do this?
I mean, if they're very clear that like anybody that is an attorney, they don't have to have expungement experience. They would just love to have volunteer attorneys, because the people will be providing some measure of legal guidance, and you don't want people who are not attorneys providing legal guidance.
So you think, Maryland volunteer lawyers will be helping them as well?
That I don't know. I was just informed about the event and told to share, so.
I have a partner down there, Mr. Chandler Walker, that's what they do. So, I would,
Yeah,
talk to you more about that, so.
sure.
See what that part, they might be able to play in
That'd be great. I'm sure every person helps,
that.
yeah.
Sure.
Are they hosting just one event, or is this like a weekly thing?
It's not, they do them periodically through the year. This is just the one that's coming up. I believe they did one end of spring, early summer as well. I recall this, but I think somebody made an announcement at one of the previous meetings.
There was one in June.
June, that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some, Maryland volunteer lawyers as well. Yes.
All right, very cool. Well, we've made it to the report backs and other upcoming. Tree Baltimore.
So, in the interest of time, we'll get into it more next month. But
Okay.
basically just, Ainsley and Tree Baltimore are talking about tree plantings on Green Mountain, so.
Oh, nice.
Is there, like, can that get posted, like, an update on that on the website?
Good idea? Yeah.
Anything else about Tree Baltimore? It's okay. All right, great. Harwood Community Association elections. They are happening in December. Yeah, it's Mike, I don't know really what to say about too much. There's, there's a board. You can probably get on it.
You can definitely get on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very hard. They'll let anyone on this board. So yeah, if you're interested, I know this is my first time being on the board, and I've really enjoyed participating and contributing in all the ways where I have capacity to do that. I encourage you if you're interested in participating as well. I do not know so much about how this is going to be facilitated, like becoming. So, if like, does anybody else have any insight on like what the election process is?
It was very ad hoc last year. We'd like it to be a little bit tidier than that, but I don't know exactly. We haven't. Oops.
That was our timer.
Ah.
Keep going.
The elections will just, they'll take place. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know what the exact format is yet. If people have ideas on a really good format, that would be great.
Well, more so leading up to it, if you're interested in any one particular role, then come talk to us and we can get you in touch with whoever holds that role currently, and we can talk to you more about what that looks like. And no one's gonna fight you on taking over their role. We will continue to do them if no one does, but we would love more people to get
Isn't it
involved.
up some?
So, December 4th will be our December meeting. That will be, as always, first Monday of the month. And then there is a president, there's a vice president, there is a treasurer, there is technically a secretary, and then there are several board members who generally take on different roles, depending on what their interests are, depending on what their abilities are. We have, I think, 5, maybe 6 different board members, in addition to the 4 titled roles. And honestly, the only really critical, I think, roles that have formal duties associated are those of president and treasurer. So really.
And the liaisons.
Well, the liaisons will have, work assigned. But if there is a level of participation you can do or can't do, we can work with that. You know, honestly, having 10 board members means that there will be more people to pitch in, even if they're not all doing the same amount of work every single month, because people's schedules are different, and this is volunteer work, you know, nobody gets paid. Except Ainsley.
All right, we do have to keep moving quick on this at this point. Moving on to JHU private police is on the agenda for today.
I have some questions about that. There's like a couple of us that were like kind of talking with you, Christina, Kiana, stuff like that. And they were talking about potentially having somebody come in and basically do an informative thing about what the police force is going to be like. Not me.
We have someone here.
I'm so sorry.
No, but I will say, I did not come prepared to do an informative discussion of the police, but talk a little bit about, I'm Alex, I'm from the Hopkins Graduate Worker Union, and we're currently bargaining a contract in which we're pushing back against the police, but a contract fight is usually not the kind of place we win things like no police force. So earlier last week, we had a meeting with some folks from the Harwood, including Christina and Kiana and Mike and Isaac, about the possibility of maybe a legislative action at the level of the city council to take back community control via revoking the MOU, which is currently signed by the former commissioner of police from a period when the BPD was still a state-controlled entity. It's now a city-controlled entity. It would be a sort of legal push. And so that will require, though, enormous community action to accomplish that sort of prevention, but less community action that would be required to retroactively abolish the police force, right? So we're still in a period where we have more leverage than we will moving forward because the police force doesn't fully exist yet. They're starting to hire, they put out some draft resolutions in which they say that they can have semi-automatic weapons. They can, pursue people certain distances from the campus, all kinds of stuff. But the police force doesn't fully exist. So taking advantage of this window to try and pursue any available avenues to not put community members in another position where Hopkins is deciding with armed force who they do and don't think belongs in these neighborhoods, so they don't have the power, the lethal power, to basically decide what people get to do with their lives as a private entity. So it's about where that conversation is, and I think the hope that might be expressed is that maybe this is going to be a continuing conversation. It was a very early stage, and obviously all of us have a lot going on. In the union, we're in the midst of a lot of different fights, but certainly having someone to coordinate with, to sort of take a couple people who might want to take lead on something like this in Harwood would be really helpful.
We also did have a more informative time last year, 2 years ago. I don't know, it's all a blur at this point. But it was last year, okay, cool, yeah. So there was other informational sessions, but.
Yeah.
And there's been discussion of putting some history of that on the website, and there's a plan to do so. It hasn't been executed yet, but this is just a good reminder that we should do that.
And this sort of ties into the issue of also the elections, and several processes were interrupted by the pandemic, and we have sort of been not reinventing the wheel, but sort of refinding where we were when things got disrupted. And so we're sort of refiguring out how processes happen, and that includes the elections, but that also includes where the community association was earlier with regards to Hopkins Police. There was an established sort of consensus, and rather than trying to redo that, we're simply operating under the assumption that this is a continually changing community, but it is not dramatically changing, and the consensus, from what we can tell from general conversation seems to maintain this opposition as a general rule. So I think we can probably talk maybe a little bit more about that afterwards, since it was just gonna be something that was gonna be mentioned, and it always provokes more conversation, because it is an issue we're passionate about.
Are we scheduled to have, are you potentially gonna talk next? Maybe we can make sure that at the next meeting, that gets talked about.
Yeah, I think it might be worthwhile if anyone has any interest in following up with that outside, just given the sort of like, there might be a timeline that might need sort of more regular meeting than like once a month.
Yeah.
So it might be worth, yeah.
Hi, I'm Councilwoman Ramos. My understanding of the timeline and the advocacy is, there's a court case pending right now. And then also, there is the mutual aid group and ABLE that's been working with the Community Law Center on legislation.
We're working jointly.
Okay, good. But we're still, and Councilman Stokes has agreed to sponsor the legislation. But we don't know whether that's gonna hinder the lawsuit and the time, so there's kind of, and anything can happen at any time, but that's where we are at the moment.
Also, the next meeting might be interesting because it's an AIA joint.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so that might be synchronicity.
Yeah.
So Mike and Isaac, are you our point people for the HCA in those talks then?
We are at the
Yeah,
moment and happy
at
to.
this point, we're not, yeah.
Okay, just so people can.
Yeah, we are at the moment, and we are happy to pass that over to other leadership in the neighborhood as well, so that, you know, responsibilities are spread more broadly.
All right, Chief Brian, please, thank you so much for speaking to us. All right, so now we're moving into our guest section. We have a representative from Speak Out to talk about CSX.
Cole, we do a Cole Curtis Bay.
Yeah, no, I'm not from Speak Out, but I was gonna, yeah, so I was told that you all had some concerns about the CSX track improvements that are happening through your neighborhood, and so, I don't live in Curtis Bay, but I'm with a group called Coal Free Curtis Bay that is, helping them out with planning nonviolent direct actions to support some of their things that they wanna do. But, so their situation is they live right next to a coal export pier. And so, I can just pass out flyers. There's not one of these for everybody, but just take a look and keep one if you want to and share it. And then, this is also something they've done to report to Maryland Department of Environment when they see coal dust and things like that and pollution in their neighborhood. So I was gonna pass those out just as samples. They're also having their rec center move someplace they don't want it, but, I just, kind of here to like share information about them. They're also, fighting CSX. They would like a different commodity to be exported from that location. Obviously coal has been exported from there since I believe the 18th century even, since the 19th century. So it's been there a long time. But they had an explosion because methane wasn't vented properly about a year and a half ago or so. And the situation is that coal facility is like 1,000 feet from people's home. It's 1,000 feet from their current rec center. So I think, I guess the main message I want to share is that, they're not interested in, getting rid of CSX. They just want to get rid of the coal. They can't open their windows. I mean, people who live there haven't been able to open their window in 20 years. The cancer rates for that zip code are like they're like, way higher than the rest of Baltimore even. Life expectancies are starkly different than those of us who live in other parts of Baltimore. So I live in a neighborhood that also abuts to this rail line. I live in Bolton Hill, and so that line comes out right, like sort of at Mount Royal, out of the ground. And I know that CSX came to a community association meeting for us, it seems like a couple years ago. I wasn't at the meeting, but I don't think it's as big of an issue for our neighborhood, because we don't have the road crossings. It kind of goes under Mount Royal, and then it's leaving the neighborhood. But yeah, if you have any questions about what's going on in Curtis Bay and their fight against CSX, As far as stopping CSX, I believe that, solutionary rail is something that this country needs, so we shouldn't be trying to get rid of our rail systems. We should be electrifying them and making them a resource. So I don't know how that fits in with y'all kind of resisting the track enhancements that are coming through here. But anyway, please, take a look at the flyers, and if you have any quick questions, again, I'm not from Curtis Bay, I'm with a group called Coal Free Curtis Bay that's just trying to help out there. So, yeah, thanks for letting me share this information, I really appreciate it.
Aren't they suing CSX for the explosion that happened?
So there was a settlement, the explosion was 2 Decembers ago, and there was a settlement between the Maryland Department of Environment and I guess South Baltimore Land Trust, or there was a couple of communities, maybe South Baltimore 7 signed onto it. So CSX paid a fine. They gave some money to the community that's being used for some housing improvements and I think transportation. As far as that from the explosion, I believe that's all settled, and the unfortunate thing about that is when those settlements happen, that sort of takes away a big legal recourse, so you can only settle once, you can't go back at a second.
I didn't know they had settled.
But, yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mike?
I guess I'll say one concern I have too about the construction is that historically CSX and the city have passed back and forth responsibility for maintenance and upkeep on the infrastructure around them.
Oh my God, I'm living that.
Some years ago, while I was living on 25th Street, the 26th Street rail line area collapsed and a whole block of cars fell into the road. And so, getting clarity, I think some conversations are needed. We should definitely, just want to point that out as a concern about in the past, barriers to responsibility on who's keeping us safe with the rail infrastructure.
Shouldn't we be speaking to their safety people to be like, okay, in order for you to do all these expansions or all these things, what are your safety people doing?
I'm gonna say one thing, so when, CSX was given a permit to reconstruct that pier. They have a permit that's coming up, and you'll see in that flyer, their operating permit is renewed every 5 years, and so that renewal is coming up. But after they had that explosion, they rebuilt part of they had to rebuild part of the conveyor that blew up, and so they got a permit for that. So when that permit was issued, they were required to put in monitoring equipment, do a fence line monitoring plan, which I don't think has come to fruition yet, and also an increased plan for fugitive dust remediation, spraying the piles and stuff like that. And I think that still hasn't been turned in, but that's separate from their 5-year operating permit. Again, that community would just like the coal out of there, but I feel like all of us could advocate for, if the coal is going to come in our city, it should at least be covered while it's coming through here. And so I think definitely this is an opportunity when they are getting ready to invest in the infrastructure to put the double stacked things in, this is when we have some leverage to say, well, wait a minute, we have children near here, et cetera, so, yeah, sorry, out of line.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
When is the actual replacement supposed to begin? I understood that it was gonna happen like last month.
So they came and presented last month here, and it was their first time ever presenting to Harwood Community Association about the construction.
Mm-hmm.
And they conveyed that they were going to begin construction in February.
No.
And it was conveyed as we're here to make sure the community knows what we're doing, but it was not what are your concerns, what's your input? It was we're about to do this, just FYI, here's all the ways it's so great. And when asked about, your question about safety, when they were asked if they'd done safety studies, traffic studies, and environmental studies, they said they didn't know, which means they did not.
So I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure at this point. So when the permit that was being operated down there at the coal pier, the way the permit was given was from modeling. So in other words, CSX did some modeling work to say, okay, well, this is where the dust is gonna go, and based on that, MDE gave the permit. And so the modeling must have been like really bad, because right now you've got high school students being helped by Johns Hopkins and others doing actually air testing to do the work that MDE didn't bother to do. So, asking for air monitoring. We should all have air monitoring. There should be air monitoring along the whole CSX route. Yeah.
Yeah, which also makes me wonder if we should connect with Charles Village, because I'm sure that they also had to approach them. So
They haven't yet.
They haven't yet?
I know. And then I have two places in my district that this is happening on the 26th Street corridor, and it's technically not my district yet, but, and then also the Harwood Road corridor. So it's a lot of disruption. And I'm sorry I wasn't at the meeting last time, but I will be happy to facilitate another meeting to try to get more answers, because we did have a virtual meeting like a year and a half ago, I think, about this. As well, so there's all kinds of concerns about parking on Guilford and on and other issues. So yeah, I think that it's important that they're open and transparent.
Also, they said bridge construction would start in February. They'll actually start construction at the rail level in December. So because that doesn't.
Yeah, there are two things. They have to raise this one up, and they have to dig a little further down.
But the rail level doesn't require traffic disruption, so I think they're just like rolling ahead with that.
I was just saying, is there any way we can have them back in here to have another conversation? Because it's kind of weird that they came in and said, hey, this is what we're doing, see you later, bye, left. And now we're trying to figure out what it is. I think we should, I don't know how we would do it.
I think we should
Get them
have
back
a
in.
special meeting that we do a lot of flyers about, make sure it's hybrid as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
I would suggest that, and we haven't, I know other people working with Coal-Free Curtis Bay have talked to union members, but you might, if you know, you might reach out to the rail union and get them to come to the same meeting, because the real problem is the disinvestment by the corporations in the rail system, and safety is an issue, and we're just in East Palestine, waiting to happen. So, yeah,
Yeah, and CSX is terrible on public relations. Apparently they hired somebody to help us with doing all these public meetings, but they haven't done what they are supposed to do. Particularly on the Clifton Park side, there's a lot of issues. So I think I'll be happy to facilitate. If we could do it at one of these meetings, if you like, or we could do a special meeting. So we're bringing in Charles Village.
I think a special
Yeah.
We're bringing in Able. We're bringing in some of the other stakeholders.
That's a great idea. So,
On a related, or maybe not so related issues, I guess quality of life, but I'm on 26th Street between Guilford and Barclay. Is there anything we can do to get them to stop blowing their horn day and night? There's no rhyme or reason, and there's no railroad crossing within miles of that area. Apparently they can actually blow the horn if there's some risk of hitting something in a tunnel. But these tunnels are 30 feet long. They're not really tunnels. I was looking up the regulations not too long ago, and there's just no rhyme or reason to, I'm gonna blow the horn and wake these people up at 2 in the morning.
Hey man, it's fun. Alright.
And the decibels is pretty
They still have
high.
to adhere to the noise ordinance, so we can look at that.
Last comment on this, and then we gotta keep on our agenda.
so as some suggestions when y'all do hold this special meeting, we've also had meetings like organization and different things which, they're also terrible with public relations. I'm not gonna name any people, but
You can.
But when it comes down to it, they may come into this meeting making a whole lot of promises, but I would urge y'all to ask questions in terms of what does the follow-up look like? Can we trust you on the follow-up? And what is it that will happen if y'all don't, do these things, set things that y'all should be adhering to? So make sure.
Actually, I think that's a good point, because DOT is issuing the permits for the bridge work. And so if we brought in DOT, because there has to be specific things happening to comply with the permit.
Yes.
So that
That's
we
Maryland.
would have, no, city.
Federal? Oh, city DOT?
That's our bridge.
Okay.
So we only just, that's a good point about, like, let's just figure out what the leverage is relative to the permit. All of the lessons that we've learned from the BGE fiascos, you know, it's that permit, that is the accountability side, so, I appreciate that, thanks.
Cool. All right, we have to,
Kind of one question for the council person.
okay.
I know this is a Baltimore issue, but it's also a state issue because our state representatives have to work with us in order to prevent CSX from coming and bulldozing us without really giving us an opportunity to discuss the ramifications of how and what they do. So I feel as if, along with our our council people, we really need to have our state people in here.
I am here.
I know you're here, Regina, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, we need to be here when they're here. You know what I mean?
Well, I just actually literally just text a representative from CSX saying that, can he provide me more information about this improvement and replacement, and that there needs to be a meeting from them with Charles Village, Able, and Harwood.
I'm sorry, delegate voice, can you stand up, because did you announce yourself when you were here?
No, because the meeting was happening.
We're gonna need your name and your favorite sandwich.
You should introduce.
We've all answered our
Yes,
favorite
but
sandwich.
it's not my meeting, I don't wanna be rude.
No,
The meeting
no,
was
no,
happening
you're
when I
good,
came
you're
in.
good, you're good.
I think they need to know who you are, because you are a state representative.
Yes, it is. When I came in, the meeting was happening. I can wait my turn to speak.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll give us a chance.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can introduce yourself right now.
Sure. Delegate Regina T. Boyce, 43A, Vice Chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee, happy to be here, and happy to give some insights about what has been said. I've been listening, and I was just gonna wait for my opportunity to speak, but one thing I wanna touch on is the CSX permit renewal. And so MDE, so first of all, I want to say that I understand that CSX has a new person that they've hired, not just a community relations person, but like the person who operates things. MDE has a new secretary who is pretty awesome and has environmental justice at the top of her schedule. So CSX had a permit renewal September 30th. And what the state has been trying to do is literally hold their feet to the fire, right? And I think to the point of, if it has to be here, it needs to kind of adhere to other regulatory requirements to handle and manage coal in the way that other states do it. So for instance, in other states, there isn't coal that is uncovered moving on tracks through neighborhoods. It's a little crazy, coal being wet to cut down on the dust. One thing that MDE is waiting for is the report that Johns Hopkins University is doing about the dust in the area. So the question is it coal dust? Is it just dirt and soot being kicked up from, driving up and down the street? So they want to make sure of the study, what is actually the dust, and so then how to remediate it. But this is an opportunity, as I've been talking to the state about this, to really hold CSX feet to the fire, to, rather than say, which they can't respectfully, they cannot deny their permit because I think it violates some type of interstate commerce. But what they can do is hold on to it, and to the point earlier made, is say, you have to do these things in order to get this permit again, but to cut down, again, waiting on this report, depending on what this report says, some of the issues. Because there is a thought that while the fumes are absolutely terrible and there is a way to manage and control that some of the dust may not necessarily be dust, it may be dust, it may be road kick-up, but they just want to be sure before they launch into doing more, holding their feet to the fire. And just to the point again, making them do what everyone else in other places and states do when they transport coal. So.
Yeah, I'll just say as I'm leaving, thank you much for letting me share information, but I'll just share that the problem with the people who live in that community is cumulative harm. They have 70 polluting facilities that are permitted right around them, and then you have to have the cumulative harm of this, what has happened over the decades. So they've been breathing in this coal dust for decades, and so, how do we address that cumulative harm is up to all of us. I'll leave this stuff here, and thanks so much for letting me share information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I just say something, I was hoping he'd stay. The other thing about environmental justice, and especially for me, is that the people who look like, and the people who are in those neighborhoods need the people who are up in front, right? And so, that is one thing that I am pushing and stressing, that is one thing I know the Secretary is pushing. I'm not interested in hearing from somebody who wants to be the advocate. I want to hear from the people who are quote unquote suffering, right? Not their representative, because just as much as this person can come in here and advocate, right, the same opportunities and access are given and open to other people to do so. And those people do, they knock on my door, I mean, you know, they email, they call, and we do set up meetings with them. And so I just want to be clear about advocacy. The tables need to shift a little bit when we talk about advocacy, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right. We are moving on to our next section here. We have Casey here to speak in on the mural. Yeah, go take it away, Casey.
Hi, everybody. I'm Casey. Yvonne and I were saying earlier, like the Sunshine Band, in case you hear it differently. I'm going to start passing this around now, just in the, effort to save time. I was here last week with my friend Evangeline. We spoke about.
Just want to make sure this.
Yeah. This was not last week. Yeah, but we spoke to the people who were here last time. For those who weren't, we are hoping to do a mural down the street. I'm not here to give a ton of info tonight. Really, the goal is to get some feedback on the content of what the mural may be. We have a general concept that was presented last time. We're really hoping to stick to that. But there's a lot of room for Easter eggs and visual cues that really solidify it as a piece in Harwood. So yeah, that's what it'll be distributed in the email with this month's notes. So check it out if you don't get a chance to just open your camera app and scan the QR code there. But yeah, it gives opportunities in sort of open format to just respond and, apply some of that local knowledge that I don't necessarily have. And some of the other feedback which we got last time, I'll just speak on real quick. Definitely going to try to provide sketches, try to work with the community to get a final, okay, this is the one, this is what we want to create. And then the other thing that I have heard a couple times that I think is a great idea is to have the community be able to help paint the mural. Because and I'm glad to hear you guys woo with that. But yeah, this design is essentially meant to be something that could be like a paint by numbers sort of application. So ideally it would be something that Evangeline and I can sort of produce it that way with the neighborhood. So anybody that you guys can distribute this to, that would be really nice to make sure we get a nice aggregate of responses to make this as cool as possible. But yeah, it's really like anybody who might be interested in the participation element. My email is listed on the form, and I'll make sure that I get it to anybody if you reach out to me before I leave. But yeah, any sort of open forum discussion of the project and how it's moving forward, that's a good place to sort of dump your thoughts. And then feel free to reach out to me on a personal level, because that was the big, headline from last month, was trying to make sure that it is authentically representative. So we have some fun ideas. Evangeline and I have talked about it a lot, and with the limited feedback I've got from this Google Sheet sort of response thing, I have been really excited by the insight that I've been able to get there. So that being said, go Orioles.
I just want to call out that at the last meeting, we said, hey, we'd really love a way to give input to do something, and here you are giving us exactly that. So we really
This is
appreciate
fun.
that.
I'll continue to be here.
It's great when we can ask for something and that can happen. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it does, I mean, I am somebody who, that's my favorite part about art is that, critique and communal aspect, collabing. That's the center of this, was me trying to find a mural to create with Evangeline, who is a badass artist and just somebody who I admire, and reach out to me as well. I run an art collective in Woodbury, Clipper Mill area, and we do drawing club and all these just stupid little fun artsy things. So hit me up. That's my whole essence, is just the collaborative element. So it's fun to be here and see how you guys sort of workshop and group think everything.
Casey, before you move on.
Please.
That will also be in the notes, and I will also share that on the WhatsApp chat. Let me know if you want to be on the WhatsApp chat or not.
Awesome. And thank you. I actually was able to meet with Mike at some point and get some of the feedback on, just anybody who's helped me so far, and the people last week who provided that feedback. It's making me feel more confident about the end product. So thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we're doing great. We're gonna be on time. We're doing it. Okay. Other committee report backs. Are there any active committees right now that have report backs?
For the Green Mound Development Committee.
Yeah, do it.
So I had a meeting earlier today, so I was a little late for this one. I was a lot late for this one. But for the Green Mound Development Committee, we spoke with Baltimore Tree Trust and Tree Baltimore. Confusing as hell. I don't know which one is state. One of them is a city and one of them is non-profit. I literally asked both of them, you're this one and you're this one, and immediately forgot it. So that is high. That is high. Both of them. So we had originally we were like, okay, we need to get some grant money to cut the holes. We got a grant form, everything. I think you're working on the grant form, but found out that we actually don't need a grant to get the thing done. So they came by, we did a walkthrough from 29th down to see what the situation was. It's crazy. There are no trees. There are probably like 4 trees between 29th, probably like 5, between 29th and 25th.
Sure.
That is
On what street? Green Mountain?
of Green Mountain. You could count the trees. So they were like, okay, we could partner together and get this done. So what they're planning to do is, one, between the fall and the winter, they're gonna cut boxes. And they're gonna do a map. When they're gonna do after they finish with the map, they're gonna come in and present to the board. And then in the spring, they'll start planting trees.
Great.
Love that.
Yes.
That's it. If anybody have any questions, I have no answers. If you have questions, I might have some answers. I don't know.
Cool. Any other work business, or like work committee business or anything else like that that's not yet been covered?
Website's ongoing. Website's ongoing, and we are working on it at the rate of capacity. But
I can help with that if there's,
Okay.
there's capacities that I can help.
Talk with me and not after.
Yeah. We've got a great, we know what we want to do, and now it's just about execution and a little bit of testing here, but,
How's the live stream?
Mike, do you know how many people have been watching the live stream?
7. We have 7.
Okay, I just want everybody to realize that is a 700% increase from last month. That's great. Cool, I'm really glad that's working out.
I want to point out that flyering has been just awesome this year, and increasingly so. So last month we had full coverage, almost every single house got, and this month a few blocks out of our 60 blocks got missed. So but we could always use a lot more hands. It's a fairly exhausting work. It's beautiful weather to do it in, but
Where would one volunteer for that task?
You can indicate on the sheet if you would like.
Thank you for asking that. And then Savannah, did you?
Yeah, Tim, are you and Christian working on the history of the JHU, private thing? I know that was in our last board meeting, a few board meetings ago, but I wasn't sure if there was an update on that.
Yeah, I guess the question, like what, in giving communication, so there's like sort of institutional knowledge about Harwood's engagement like around Hopkins Private Police, it would be good for us to have like language to distribute. And so people that have been in the neighborhood association longer than I have, we'd love to hear from y'all about what that's been like up until now, so we can get that history.
So just put a V next to your name and circle it if you're volunteering to the flyer, please, as this gets passed around.
Oh, volunteer, that makes sense. Sorry.
I guess, I don't know, Greenmount Development Committee, I've noticed that on Greenmount there's a ton of graffiti, right?
That's true.
And I'm trying to figure out if the committee, I don't know if it's a board or who decide, if we could form a committee that's adjacent to the Greenmount Committee to help get rid of graffiti on Greenmount. Cause so my building used to get tagged up and I'm like, who is tagging my building? Come outside, catch some Johns Hopkins students.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I think we need to bring John Hopkins over here to have them talk this. No, but I think what's happening is like, I think the students think that the neighborhood is a free-for-all, and I totally understand graffiti and I understand expression. I'm an artist myself, but I think your target should be what's the neighborhood? Guildford. Not Greenmount. Like you're not an artist if you're tagging up. If you're tagging up Greenmount, you're not an artist. You're a you're a vandal. Yes, like if you want to make a statement about how society is crazy, go to Guildford and tag in Guildford. If you're tagging in on Greenmount, you're literally stepping on the people who are already being stepped on.
Or that big brick wall they have between Guildford and York. It's prime.
It's like, I mean, like you go up Green, like I was walking with the two people from Tree Baltimore and it's like embarrassing. I'm like, it's like taking somebody to your house and your house is dirty.
Absolutely.
So I think if we get some money from the committee and we could form another committee beside it, we could get some people to volunteer, we match the paints, and once a week we go through and we cover it because nothing a graffiti artist hates than coming back to show his friends his work or her work and it's not there.
Oh, sure. Can I ask, did you press charges on this person?
No, what happened was I came outside and I caught my leg, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I was like, people live here. And both of them said, we won't do it again, and they walked off.
Well, the thing is, there is this very weird perception that somehow Hopkins is buying up Greenmount, which is not true. Therefore, these individuals feel, again, entitled to then tag up everybody's property, which is entitled and unbelievable. But I say that because it is overwhelming, and I would ask you to work with Diana Emerson, who they had did like a sting or two,
We did a graffiti removal.
And we can probably join forces and do it again and do it for the entire, it is unnerving.
I'm down
to. She's the Waverly Main Street.
Yes.
Great, we got. Very helpful with the paint, so.
Yeah.
Bring it down. We got 1, 2 in comments.
Can I say something real
3.
quick about graffiti? Just
I gotta keep it in order. So 1. That's all right. Yeah.
So I remember we had put our community signs up and everything. Somebody came to our community. It usually is people that's not even associated with the community that just feels the need to do so, to make a statement or something. But afterwards, like cleaning it off, usually keeping those areas clean, and they had like tagged our wall, but we had put our mural up and like showing more development to that space makes them less likely to do it. And on top of that, if it's a common space that keeps getting tagged up, then you could use something like the paint that I was talking about, which is keeps them from being able to graffiti over it. I see schools use it all the time, so kids can't graffiti.
There's a certain type of paint?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
If
actually
there's a mural,
clear.
you can put a clear on it so that's easy to wipe off.
Oh,
Alright,
okay.
gotta stay on time. Nope, you're okay? Alright, do we have a third, alright, Casey?
I just wanted to note that with the mural, we've kept in mind future-proofing it, and that's a big part of why it's gonna be like white, blue, black, so that we can just keep those on hand and touch it up. And I do believe what you just said, which is that when you bring art to the neighborhood, ideally, it is given a level of respect. And that does seem, I look at murals and think that every time, where's the graffiti? And we've even thought about ways that we could leave an area designated for graffiti, but
We thought of the same thing as well.
They actually, there are some cities that have that program where they have select set
Oh,
spaces
yeah, there's.
and be like, just work there. Like,
and that's
I can't help but only half kid about like, well, if there was some stairs down to the train tracks, there'd be plenty of canvas that we don't have. Because historically, some of the best graffiti I've ever seen has been like
On the train.
right outside of the Bayview train yard and stuff like that. So it's like,
though.
yeah. People gotta put effort into their work, you know?
yeah.
They also
Just trying
don't
to
use
test stuff
a
now.
flat brick anymore. It's
No.
all,
Yeah.
textured,
You know,
so it
But you know
doesn't-
what, but don't artists need that challenge in order to push their
But
medium?
these
No.
aren't artists.
These aren't artists.
These are kindergartners practicing their names.
Cool. Hey, it's not 8 o'clock yet, which means we actually have 4 minutes, 5 minutes
Can we
to,
elected to give a?
Yeah.
oh, there's one more committee? Okay, yep.
No,
Well, that's not a
elected to
committee.
give an update.
Oh, sure, oh, yes.
Yeah. Hi, everybody, I'm Councilwoman Ramos. Good to see you all. I'm sorry I wasn't at your last meeting. I just have 3 updates. One is, I don't know if you've seen the mayor's redistricting map.
Yes.
No, I have not.
Okay,
Big-
all right.
Big news.
Well, we got some big news for Harwood. If that map passes, Harwood goes into the 14th district, which is great. I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy about it. I can't tell you, I'm very happy about it. So what happens is that next meeting, the 16th, we are going to have a public hearing about the map on Thursday, and it will be virtual. And I'll make sure that somebody here gets, and you can testify that you like the change, if you wish, or you can do a written testimony. There'll be another hearing sometime next week, and then we will vote on the 16th of October, because we have to do this in relatively quick fashion. So we have to do redistricting every 10 years between the census and the first election. You went through it with the state elections, you went through electoral map, went through it with police redistricting, and so now the city council has to go through the whole thing. We're staying, we can't move the number of districts, so it'll be 14, but we are moving boundaries based on population. So when you look at the map, and it's actually on my website, odettRamos.com, under updates, you can see all the details. But if you look at the map, that West Baltimore looks different because the 9th district lost 30% of population. So they had to gain population from other places. The 14th district, we only lost 5%. So gaining Harwood was part of it, although I lost 2 other places in my district, which I'll talk about in a second. And then there's the 12th district went south and gained Harbor East and a couple of others to be able to make up, I think they lost like 10%. So that's how, and so the criteria is they can't redistrict it out of our districts. It has to be about 41 to 43,000 people per district, and it has to be diverse as possible. And my district right at the moment is literally half black, half white, with a few Latinos sprinkled in between, including me. And so, so that's kind of the reason that it happens, and where you have, unfortunately, the mayor's office didn't do public meetings prior to introducing it, because we're kind of on a crunch, because the Board of Elections is like, you gotta hurry and get this done so that they have time for the May 2024 primary, so that they don't have any mess ups, right? So anyway, you can go on our website and look at the map, it's there. And if the spirit moves you to write a letter of support, that would be great. The one challenge is that I am losing the precinct that has Sherwood Gardens in it, which, that's sad, but the tulips are for everybody, so I'll enjoy them. And then but I'm also losing Clifton Park, which I'm really pissed about. So if you're gonna write a letter of support for the changes in the 14th district, just ask for Clifton Park back. And I would appreciate that. So that's one piece. I do have, if I become your new council person, well, anybody's welcome to sign up for my newsletters. It comes out on Mondays. And that will be, the other great news that's coming to our area is that the Baltimore Book Festival will be in Waverly forever and always.
Cool.
Which is great. I'm super excited about it. The effort will be led by the same team that led the Waverly Book Festival with support of BOPA, so that we can get the whole Baltimore Book Festival. It's going to be awesome. So, we'll make sure to include, because the brewery will be part of this, the center will be part of it. I mean, it's going to be huge. So it's really super exciting, and we'll just keep you all posted. And if anybody wants to be a part of the planning, let us know. We always want local authors, to be involved. It's gonna be great. Super amazing. Yeah, super amazing. So this evening, we meet every other Monday generally. So this evening we just confirmed Commissioner Worley. It was a controversial decision for many of us, but I do have confidence that he'll move our police department into the reforms that need to be, continue the reforms that need to be done. But also he's been very clear about the mess ups that have happened. And so I serve on the Public Safety Committee, so we'll be continuing to hold them accountable. I also serve on the Economic and Community Development Committee, given my background in housing and community development. And I serve on the Rules Committee, which sounds super boring, but it's really busy because it does the confirmations, we do election law, we do ethics law, like that kind of stuff. So that's really it. I'll get much more involved in the CSX piece here. And because I also have that issue in Harwood Road, so that we can move forward on that. So those are my main announcements. If you need anything, I have cards here, and happy to engage. And we'll just keep you posted on the map. The final decision will be made on the 16th. So if I do become your new council person, that won't happen until December of 2024, okay? Because the election is May of 24. So I will come and canvass because I will, gotta meet everybody, which I'm excited about. But the new term doesn't start until December of 24. So you'll still be in the 12th until December of 24, okay? But I have a good relationship with Councilman Stokes, and I'm sure we'll, continue to share notes and all of that. Yes?
Councilwoman, do you still have East Harwood?
I do have East Harwood, and I will continue to keep East Harwood. And actually, this is great, because then we have the entire Green Mountain Avenue corridor in the 14th District. From 25th Street all the way to 43rd Street. I mean, it's a big deal. So I'm super excited about the opportunities that we have. So.
Given some cohesiveness.
Yeah, and I did run in the 12th in 2011, so I am familiar with what's been going on in Harwood, and I look forward to relearning. So happy to have your letters of support. You can send to me, you can send to the mayor. Make sure to ask for Clifton Park. So I look forward to continuing to come to the meetings and continue the dialogue. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I wish redistricting at the state level was that easy.
No.
We had to wait, better run. So, Delegate Regina T. Boyce, I don't have any major announcements other than that I always say this is the special time of year where we start gearing up for session. And session means that if you contact, and I call my sidekick is Delegate Elizabeth Embry, who I couldn't be here tonight. She had another engagement she had to get to. But legislation, if you want to talk about it, if you want to discuss it, you want to see if something is already in the books, but this is the time to discuss it if you are interested in legislation, if you're interested in legislative bond initiatives, it's money for capital projects within the district, within the community center, so on and so forth, and those are the opportunities available. So if you are interested in those things, please reach out to me. I did leave my email address, but I want to put that out there that now is the time, because we don't want to duplicate any efforts that may already be may have already been in law, but giving us enough time to potentially research anything you may be interested in, and essentially pointing you in the right direction of individuals who may be able to carry something more, or where you can get more information from. So that is really important to me. Earlier, Last year, the speaker appointed me to a chief deputy majority whip position, which means that I have got to be like, hey, how you voting? What you voted for that speaker? And then this summer, I was honored and surprised that she appointed me as vice chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee. So I've been on that committee since I was elected in 2018, so I am excited about the opportunities and excited. And just so you know, the Environment and Transportation Committee, it is environment, it is transportation, but it's also housing and real property. It is natural resources, agriculture, and open spaces, for which I am the subcommittee chair. It's ethics and land use, as well as local public law. So a lot of transportation, local law comes to that committee when we, for instance, we've been fighting last couple of years, but hopefully we can fight well this year. But like, for instance, allowing the city to lower its street speed limits without a engineering study, because we've already done the study through Complete Street. So those are the type of things that we work on and work for Baltimore City. So thank you.
Okay, so we are over time right now, so I'm going to say I do want to offer an opportunity for feedback. Does anybody have any feedback for today? Evaluation for the meeting. We like to improve on these in an iterative process. So yeah, if anybody has anything to contribute on ways you think we could improve this meeting, things that worked well, things that could work better, now is the opportunity. Otherwise, you know, that's our door. It's after 8. What's up?
I just appreciate the agenda written up there.
That was essential for me. Cool. Okay, that's enough silence. Then I'm going to say we did it, everybody. We hope to see you next month. Love all your faces here. Hope to see more as well. I hope you have a great month.
Oh, no, right.